aerial photographs, you'll see that there's like a weird channel or a pathway that comes in from the southern marker stone, and it's wide, and as it comes in it gets narrower and narrower and narrower, and then it bends and it ends it right here. So when I first looked at this from the aerial photographs, I wondered, wow, that's amazing. It definitely looks like there was some sort of a thing going on here, you know. And then once again, guess who told me the story of this path and where it leads to and why it leads to here? None other than Baba Credo Mutwa, and the procession and what happened here and the ceremony that they held here in the initiation. It's a path that goes from the south, moving north. By going from north from the south, they crossed all the different lines, the equinoxes and the solstices, and other important lines that we probably don't even know about. So they crossed the important cardinal points and the setting of the sun lines until they get, and the path narrows and narrows, basically comes in from there. The only stone in the way of this path is this one right in the middle. This one here. It's right in the middle of this pathway. It narrows and narrows, and then suddenly you got boom, this stone in the middle. So something important happened here. Credo and the ceremony did perform ceremony here, and they did a lot of rituals on this stone. I believe much further back in time, a lot of sacrifice happened here after the fall of mankind. The same thing of blood for Orion with the Mayas and all those cultures in the Americas, when they started to offer and sacrifice people, blood for Orion. A lot of channelings have told us that this is where the blood for Orion sacrifices happened. And if you stand here, it lines up exactly with the rise of Orion and the pyramids. So it's highly significant that this is that kind of place. Nevertheless, to come back to Credo, and the ceremony carried on here, and it narrows down and then it bends and it lands right here. Now you can clearly see that these stones have fallen over. If you lift them up and you lift that one up, you realize this is highly significant. First of all, this stone is a shape I haven't really mentioned in this group too much, but if I can point out to you, it's a broad base and a narrow top, and this is what I refer to as the female shape, and then the stone man would be the male shape, but that's just the name we gave it. And there are several places along this edge that you find these broad base, narrow top stones. If you lift these up and you walk in here and you lift that one up, you're standing right in the middle once again, exactly, perfectly north-south line. Can you see it? Between the calendar stones, north-south. Very highly significant. So the very first time I brought a group of people here in 2008, very early 2008, was a group, about 25 people or so, that are part of a channeling movement, one of the most famous channeler women in Johannesburg, who brought all her people here. And we came here, and some of the women, most of them are women, and some of the women are sitting here, and then one of them came in here and she stood here, and after a little while she got out of here and she went, wow man, I've got this feeling of like I'm pregnant or something like that, something to do with pregnancy and birth. And she walked out. The next woman came and stood in here, and she started sharing similar kind of sentiments, like giving birth or pregnancy or morning sickness or that kind of stuff. And the next one came in. 5 of them came in here, one after the other, each sharing similar kind of effects in here. And I thought, well, that's interesting. But I didn't think anything about it because I didn't have enough information. So I just put it into file 13, where I normally put stuff, until later. And then a few months later, when I went to see Credo Mutwa for the first time, when he said to me, this was Inzala Yelanga, when humanity was created by the gods, he also pointed out to me the ceremony that they held and walked in here in between these stones. He looked at them at the aerial pictures and said, there, over there, that's where the ceremony took place. That is where the first fertilized eggs were implanted into the Anunnaki females. And that's where humanity was created, right here. And I went, oh my God. Yeah, whether he's making it up, I don't know. I'm beginning to believe pretty much everything he tells me. And now I suddenly realized why a group of women would have felt feelings or energies of pregnancy and giving birth and morning sickness. That didn't make sense to me, but suddenly Creator tells me that this is the spot right here where that first impregnation of the Anunnaki females took place. Now, from Sitchin's work, we read that there were original 7 birth goddesses, or 7 Anunnaki females that gave birth to the first humans. We have exactly the same myth in Hinduism, in Hindu tradition, where there were 7 birth goddesses, and 7 birth goddesses that gave birth to humanity. And so there's a very interesting connection between the Anunnaki, the 7 birth goddesses, and this place here. If you lift the stone up, you'll notice that it's a sphinx shape. It's broken and it's cracked, as you can see. The head of that sphinx is what you're sitting on. That is actually the head of this stone here. If you stand up, you'll see it's got a very distinct head shape. Can you see that? If you think that the face is if the face is facing the cliff, then it looks more Egyptian. If you think the face is facing this way, it's more reptilian. So you decide which one it is.
Reptilian.
And I believe that when this and it's a sphinx-like rock, it's got the flat bottom, that edge comes, and then it comes up like a sphinx, up, and then the head was here, attached to here. That fell over and hit the stone. The head broke off and bounced that way and landed up there. It was covered by soil. We actually took it out and realized it was a head. Only a tiny piece of it was sticking out, but I knew it was connected to this, and I was right. So now we've got this site here. You walk in here, you lift this up, you lift this up, you lift that up, you've got a sphinx with that weird head, and when you look through here, you look at what? The pyramids are right ahead of us. So this whole thing is aligned with the pyramids down there. And then at the center here, you got this place where this birth ritual took place many, many thousands of years ago. So again, do with that information what you want. This is a really interesting place, and come in here and feel the energy and see.
Going to put it up?